Maya Johnson was tired. She had been in meetings all day in New York. Now she just wanted to go home to Chicago. She looked at her watch. Her flight would board in 20 minutes, just enough time to grab a coffee. Maya was not just any traveler. She was the owner and CEO of Skyline Airways, one of the fastest-growing airlines in America. 5 years ago, she had started the company with money she saved and some help from investors. Now Skyline had 50 planes and flew to 30 cities. Today, Maya wore simple clothes, blue jeans, a black sweater, and white sneakers. Her curly black hair was pulled back in a ponytail. No makeup, no fancy jewelry. She looked nothing like a rich CEO. That's the point, she thought with a small smile. Maya often traveled on her own planes without telling anyone who she was. She wanted to see how her staff treated regular passengers. Good service for everyone was her #1 rule. She paid for her coffee and walked to gate B12. People were already lining up to board. Maya got in line with the other first-class passengers. She had her ticket ready on her phone. Now boarding first-class passengers for Skyline Airways, Flight 283 to Chicago, a voice said over the speakers. Maya stepped forward and showed her phone to the gate agent. The woman smiled and said, "Have a nice flight, Miss Johnson." Maya thanked her and walked down the jet bridge to the plane. At the plane door, a male flight attendant with blonde hair checked her ticket. "Good afternoon. 4A is on your right," he said without looking at her. His name tag said Kevin. Maya found her seat in the first-class section. She put her small bag under the seat and sat down. The leather seat was soft and wide. Maya loved her plane's first-class design. She had helped pick everything herself. More passengers came on board. The first-class section filled up with mostly white men in business suits. Maya was the only black person in first class that day. She didn't think much about it. She was used to being the only black woman in many places. She took out her phone to check some work emails before takeoff. There was a problem with one of their planes in Dallas that needed her attention. She was typing a reply when she felt someone standing next to her seat. "Excuse me," a cold voice said. Maya looked up. It was Kevin, the flight attendant she had seen at the door. His face looked angry. "Yes?" Maya asked. "This is first class," Kevin said slowly, like he was talking to a child. "Economy is in the back of the plane." Maya was confused for a second. Then she understood. He thought she was in the wrong seat. He thought she couldn't afford first class. "I know this is first class," Maya said calmly. "This is my seat." She showed him her ticket on her phone. Kevin barely looked at it. "There must be a mistake. These seats are very expensive." Maya felt her face get hot. Was this really happening on her own airline? "There's no mistake. I'm in the right seat." Kevin crossed his arms. "I need to see some ID." The people in nearby seats were starting to stare. Maya felt embarrassed, but tried to stay calm. "I already showed my ID at the gate. I don't need to show it again." Kevin's face turned red. "Either show me ID proving you belong here, or move to economy where you belong." Maya couldn't believe what was happening. She had built this airline. She had designed these very seats, and now this man was telling her she didn't belong here. "I'm not moving," Maya said firmly. "I paid for this seat, and I'm staying in it." Kevin leaned closer. His voice was quiet but full of anger. "Listen, I don't know how you got that ticket, but people like you don't sit in first class on my flights." The situation was getting worse by the second. Maya took a deep breath. She had dealt with people like Kevin before. In business meetings, at fancy restaurants, in hotel lobbies. People who looked at her skin color and decided she didn't belong. "What exactly do you mean by people like me?" Maya asked. She kept her voice calm but firm. Kevin shifted his weight from one foot to the other. He seemed surprised that she was standing up for herself. "Look, I don't want any trouble," he said, "but first class has rules. I need to make sure everyone here belongs." Maya noticed that Kevin hadn't asked anyone else in first class for their ID. Not the white businessman across from her. Not the older white couple behind her. Just her. "I understand rules," Maya said, "but you're not following them. You're only asking me for ID. Why is that?" A few passengers were now watching. An older white man in the seat next to Maya looked uncomfortable. He cleared his throat. "Excuse me," the man said to Kevin. "I didn't have to show my ID again after boarding. Why does she?" Kevin ignored him. His eyes stayed fixed on Maya. "This isn't about what you think it's about," he said. "I'm just doing my job." "No, you're not," Maya said. "Your job is to make all passengers feel welcome. Right now, you're making me feel the opposite." The plane was almost full now. Another flight attendant, a woman with short brown hair, walked by. She stopped when she saw Kevin standing over Maya. "Is everything okay here, Kevin?" she asked. Her name tag said Lisa. "Everything's fine," Kevin said quickly. "Just checking this passenger's ticket." Lisa looked at Maya. "Do you need any help, Mom?" Before Maya could answer, Kevin stepped between them. "I got this covered, Lisa." Lisa hesitated, then walked away. Maya felt alone again. "Last chance," Kevin said, turning back to Maya. "Show me ID or move to economy." Maya had two choices. She could show her ID, which would reveal that she was the CEO, or she could stand her ground as a regular passenger. She decided to stand her ground. This was exactly why she flew incognito, to see how her staff treated ordinary people. "I'm not showing you my ID," Maya said. "And I'm not moving. I have every right to be here." Kevin's face turned a deeper shade of red. He leaned in close. Too close. Maya could smell coffee on his breath. "You people always make things difficult," he said in a low voice, always playing the victim. A few gasps came from nearby passengers who heard him. Maya felt a cold anger building inside her. This was happening on her airline. After all the training programs she had created to prevent exactly this kind of treatment. "I'd like to speak to your supervisor," Maya said. "My supervisor isn't here," Kevin snapped. "I'm in charge of first class today." The plane's door closed with a heavy thud. They would be taking off soon. Maya reached for the call button above her seat. Kevin grabbed her wrist. "Don't touch that." "Take your hand off me," Maya said. Her voice was quiet but strong. Kevin didn't let go. Instead, his grip tightened. "This is my flight. My rules." The older man next to Maya stood up. "Hey, buddy, take your hands off her." Kevin let go of Maya's wrist. But then, everything happened very fast. Maya reached again for the call button. Kevin's face twisted with rage, and before anyone could stop him, he slapped Maya hard across her face. The sound was like a gunshot in the quiet cabin. Maya's head snapped to the side. Her cheek burned where his hand had struck her. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. Then the cabin erupted in shouts and movement. "Did you see that? He hit her. Someone get the captain." People pulled out phones and started recording. The man next to Maya jumped to his feet and stood between her and Kevin. Lisa, the other flight attendant, came running down the aisle. "What happened? What was that noise?" "He slapped her," a woman shouted, pointing at Kevin. "He hit her for no reason." Maya touched her cheek. It stung badly, but the pain was nothing compared to the shock and shame she felt. This had happened on her own airline. To her, it was time to reveal who she was. The cabin was in chaos. Passengers were shouting. Some were standing. Most had their phones out, recording everything. Kevin stood frozen, his hand still raised. Maybe he was just realizing what he had done. Maya touched her cheek again. It was hot and getting redder by the second. She had never been hit like that before. Not once in her life. The shock was wearing off, and anger was taking its place. Lisa pushed through the crowd of standing passengers. "What happened?" she asked again, looking from Kevin to Maya and back. "This man just hit me," Maya said, her voice shaking slightly. "He slapped me across the face." Kevin found his voice. She was being difficult. She wouldn't show her ID. She wouldn't move seats. "So you hit her?" Lisa asked, her eyes wide with disbelief. "You put your hands on a passenger?" Kevin's face changed. The anger was gone. Now he looked scared. "She was. I didn't mean to." "Someone get the captain," a passenger shouted. "I've already called him," Lisa said. She turned to Kevin. "Step back. Now." Kevin took a few steps back. He looked like he wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go on the plane. Maya opened her purse. Her hands were shaking. She took out a small wallet and opened it. Inside was her company ID card. It had her picture, her name, and her title. Maya Johnson, Chief Executive Officer, Skyline Airways. She handed the ID card to Lisa. "My name is Maya Johnson," she said loudly. Everyone in first class could hear her now. "I am the CEO and owner of this airline." Lisa's face went white. She stared at the ID card, then at Maya. "Oh my God," she whispered. The news spread through the cabin like wildfire. Passengers whispered to each other. More phones came out to record. "She's the CEO. She owns the airline. He hit the boss." Kevin finally saw the ID card. All the blood drained from his face. "No," he said. "No, that's not possible." "It's very possible," Maya said, standing up to face him. She was shorter than Kevin, but now she seemed taller somehow. "This is my airline. Those are my rules you talked about. And they definitely don't include hitting passengers." The captain appeared at the front of the cabin. He was a tall man with gray hair and a serious face. "What's going on here?" he asked. Lisa showed him Maya's ID card. "Sir, this is Maya Johnson. She owns Skyline." "And Kevin." Kevin hit her. The captain's eyes widened. He looked at Maya, then at her red cheek, then at Kevin. "Is this true?" he asked Kevin. Kevin couldn't speak. He just nodded. "You're grounded," the captain said to Kevin. "Get your things and get off my plane. Now." "Wait," Maya said. Everyone looked at her. "I want to be clear about something. He's not being removed because I'm the CEO. He's being removed because he discriminated against a passenger and then got violent. That would be unacceptable no matter who I was." The captain nodded. "You're absolutely right, Ms. Johnson, and I apologize that this happened on my flight." Two security officers appeared at the front of the plane. The captain waved them over. "Please escort this man off the aircraft," he said, pointing to Kevin. Kevin finally found his voice. "Ms. Johnson, please, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I need this job." Maya looked at him coldly. "You should have thought about that before you decided to judge me by my skin color. Before you put your hands on me. Your actions have consequences, Kevin. You're fired." The security officers took Kevin by the arms and led him toward the exit. Passengers watched in silence as he walked down the aisle, his head down. When Kevin was gone, Maya sat back down. Her cheek still hurt, but something else hurt more. She had created this airline to be different, better, a place where everyone was treated with respect. Now she knew she had failed. The captain knelt next to her seat. "Ms. Johnson, do you need medical attention? Would you like some ice for your cheek?" Maya shook her head. "No. What I need is to fix my airline." The plane was still at the gate. The captain announced there would be a small delay while they handled the situation. Most passengers were talking about what had just happened. Many were posting videos online. Lisa brought Maya a plastic bag with ice. "For your cheek, Ms. Johnson," she said. Her hands were shaking. "I'm so sorry. I should have done more when I first saw Kevin harassing you." Maya took the ice and put it on her cheek. The cold helped with the pain. "Thank you, Lisa. And please, don't blame yourself. You tried to help." The man who had stood up for Maya leaned over. "I had no idea who you were. I just knew that man was way out of line. Thank you for speaking up, Maya said. I wish more people would do that when they see something wrong. The man nodded. I'm James Porter. I fly Skyline every week for business. I've always liked your airline, but I've never seen anything like this before. Neither have I, Maya said, and it won't happen again. The captain returned to Maya's seat. Ms. Johnson, we're ready to depart if you are, unless you prefer to get off and take another flight. Maya shook her head. No, Captain Stevens, I'll stay on this flight. We've all been delayed enough. The captain nodded. All right, we'll be taking off shortly. He looked at the other passengers in first class. Folks, please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. As people settled back into their seats, Maya's phone started buzzing. She looked at the screen. There were dozens of messages and calls. News was spreading fast. One message caught her eye. It was from Thomas Reed, her head of public relations. Videos all over social media. This is blowing up fast. Need to talk ASAP. Maya sighed. Of course the videos were spreading. In today's world, nothing stayed private for long, especially not something this shocking. The plane finally took off, 30 minutes late. As they climbed into the sky, Lisa brought Maya a glass of water. Ms. Johnson, is there anything else I can get you? No, thank you, Maya said. Then she thought for a moment. Actually, yes. When we're at cruising altitude, could you ask all the flight attendants to meet me in the back of the plane, one at a time, so the service isn't interrupted? Lisa looked surprised. Of course, Ms. Johnson. When the seatbelt sign turned off, Maya went to the back of the plane. There was a small area where flight attendants prepared drinks and food. Lisa was waiting for her. I've told the others you want to speak with them, Lisa said. They're nervous. They don't need to be, Maya said. I just want to hear from them. Over the next hour, Maya spoke with each flight attendant one by one. She asked them simple questions. Had they seen this kind of behavior before? Had they experienced racism or discrimination at work? What did they think the company could do better? Their answers surprised her. Yes, they had seen passengers treated differently based on how they looked. Yes, some crew members made comments that weren't right. No, they didn't always report these things because they weren't sure if anyone would listen. The last flight attendant to speak with Maya was a young black woman named Tasha. Ms. Johnson, Tasha said quietly, what happened to you today has happened to me too. Not the slap, but the rest of it. Being told I don't belong. Being talked down to. Why didn't you report it? Maya asked. Tasha looked down. Because the person who did it was a manager. I was afraid I'd lose my job. Maya felt a cold knot in her stomach. This problem went deeper than one bad flight attendant. It was in the system she had built. By the time the plane started its descent into Chicago, Maya had a plan. This wasn't just about firing Kevin. This was about changing her entire company from the ground up. As the plane landed, Maya made a promise to herself. What happened today would never happen again. Not on her watch. Not on her airline. By the time Maya left the plane in Chicago, her phone would not stop buzzing. The videos of Kevin slapping her had gone viral. News websites were already posting stories. Airline CEO slapped by own employee, read one headline. Racism in the sky. Black airline owner attacked, read another. Maya's driver was waiting for her outside the airport. Straight to the office. Sam, she said as she got into the car. She needed to get ahead of this story fast. The Skyline Airways headquarters was in a tall glass building in downtown Chicago. Usually, Maya loved walking into the building she had helped design. Today, she felt a weight on her shoulders. When the elevator doors opened on the top floor, Maya's executive team was waiting for her. Their faces showed worry and shock. Maya, my God, said Thomas Reed, the head of public relations. Are you okay? Your face. Maya touched her cheek. It was still red and a little swollen. I'm fine, Thomas. But our company isn't. She led them into the large conference room. The wall TV was already showing news coverage of the incident. Maya turned it off. "I don't need to see that," she said. "I lived it." She sat at the head of the table. "What I need is for all of you to tell me how this happened. How did we hire someone like Kevin? How did he think it was okay to treat any passenger that way? What went wrong with our training?" The room was quiet for a moment. Then Sarah Chen, the head of human resources, spoke up. "We have anti-bias training," she said. "All employees take it, but maybe it's not enough. Maybe we need to look deeper at our hiring process and our company culture." "Maybe?" Maya asked. "There's no maybe about it, Sarah. We absolutely need to do those things. Starting today." Maya stood up and walked to the whiteboard. She picked up a marker and wrote "Action Plan" at the top. "Here's what we're going to do," she said. "First, we need to put out a statement. Thomas, I want to do a press conference tomorrow morning. Not just a written statement. People need to see me. They need to hear directly from me." Thomas nodded and started taking notes. "Second," Maya continued, "I want a complete review of our hiring practices. I want to know how Kevin was hired and if there were any red flags we missed." She looked at Sarah, who nodded. "Third, I want a new training program. Not just one day of training that people can forget. A real program that changes how people think and act." She wrote each point on the board as she spoke. "Fourth, I want to start a passenger advocacy program. A way for passengers to report problems and know they'll be heard." Maya kept writing on the board until she had 10 action points. When she finished, she turned back to her team. "This isn't just about fixing a PR problem," she said. "This is about fixing our company. This is about making sure what happened to me doesn't happen to anyone else on our planes." Just then, Maya's assistant opened the door. "I'm sorry to interrupt," she said, "but Kevin Richards is downstairs. He's demanding to speak with you." The room went silent. Everyone looked at Maya. "Kevin has a lot of nerve," Thomas said. "After what he did, he thinks he can just come here and talk to you." Maya thought for a moment. Part of her never wanted to see Kevin again, but another part of her was curious. What would he say? Would he apologize? Would he try to defend himself? "Send him up," Maya said finally. "Are you sure?" her assistant asked. "Yes," Maya said, "but have security bring him up. And stay close by." As the assistant left to make the arrangements, Maya looked at her team. "I want you all to stay for this," she said. "I want you to see what happens when someone faces the consequences of their actions." 10 minutes later, the door opened again. Security guards led Kevin into the room. He looked like he hadn't slept. His eyes were red. His uniform was wrinkled. The air in the room felt heavy as Kevin and Maya faced each other again. Kevin stood at the door, his eyes fixed on the floor. The security guards waited on either side of him. The room was so quiet Maya could hear the clock ticking on the wall. "You can go," Maya told the guards, "but stay close." The guards nodded and stepped outside, closing the door behind them. Kevin finally looked up. When he saw Maya's face, the red mark still visible on her cheek, he quickly looked down again. "You wanted to see me," Maya said. It wasn't a question. Kevin nodded. "Yes, Ms. Johnson. I wanted to apologize." "For what exactly?" Maya asked. She kept her voice calm and even. For hitting you," Kevin said. He seemed surprised by the question. "Just for hitting me?" Maya asked. "Not for assuming I didn't belong in first class. Not for threatening me. Not for grabbing my wrist. Not for saying you people." Kevin's face turned red. "I'm sorry for all of it," he said. "Are you?" Maya asked. "Or are you just sorry you lost your job? Sorry you hit the CEO instead of some regular passenger you thought you could push around?" The executive team watched in silence. No one moved. Kevin's hands were shaking. "I made a terrible mistake," he said. "I've never done anything like this before." "Really?" Maya asked. Because when I talked to other flight attendants today, they seem to think this wasn't the first time you've treated people differently based on how they look. Kevin's eyes widened. Who said that? They're lying. So now my employees are liars? Maya asked. Her voice was still calm, but her eyes were hard. No, Kevin stopped. He took a deep breath. Look, I'm not a racist. I just thought you were in the wrong seat. It was a mistake anyone could make. A mistake anyone could make, Maya repeated. Funny how these mistakes always seem to happen to people who look like me. Thomas, the PR director, cleared his throat. Mr. Richards, you do realize those videos are all over the internet. Millions of people have seen you slap Ms. Johnson. Kevin's shoulders slumped. My life is over, he said. I'll never get another job. My girlfriend left me. My parents won't even talk to me. For a moment, Maya felt a touch of pity for him, but then she remembered how it felt to be slapped in front of all those people, to be treated like she didn't belong in a seat on her own airline. Actions have consequences, Kevin, she said. What did you expect would happen? I don't know, Kevin said. His voice was barely above a whisper. I guess I came here hoping for a second chance. The room was silent again. Everyone looked at Maya, waiting for her response. Maya thought carefully before she spoke. I believe in second chances, she said finally, but they have to be earned. Kevin looked up, a small spark of hope in his eyes. Here's what I'm willing to do, Maya continued. I won't press charges against you for assault. That would mean a criminal record. It would follow you forever. Thank you, Kevin said quickly. Thank you so much. I'm not finished, Maya said. In return, I want you to do 3 things. First, I want you to make a public apology. Not just to me, but to everyone who was hurt by your actions. Kevin nodded. I can do that. Second, Maya said, I want you to take a comprehensive anti-bias training program, not just a day or 2. A serious program that will help you understand why what you did was wrong. Okay, Kevin said. He seemed less enthusiastic about this part. And third, Maya said, I want you to share your story, to talk to other airline employees about what happened and what you learned, to help make sure this doesn't happen again. Kevin was quiet for a moment. And if I do all that, will I get my job back? Maya shook her head. No, Kevin. You won't work for Skyline Airways again. That's not on the table. But if you do these things, I'll help you find work somewhere else. Maybe not as a flight attendant right away, but something that will let you rebuild your life. Kevin looked surprised. Why would you help me? After what I did. Maya stood up and walked closer to him. Because this isn't just about punishing you, Kevin. It's about making things better. For everyone. She held out her hand. Do we have a deal? Kevin looked at her hand for a long moment. Then he reached out and shook it. We have a deal. The next morning, Maya stood in front of a room full of reporters. Cameras flashed as she walked to the podium. The mark on her cheek was still visible, though she had tried to cover it with makeup. Thomas had suggested she wait a few days before doing the press conference. Let your face heal, he had said. But Maya refused. She wanted people to see the mark, to know this was real. Good morning, Maya said into the microphones. My name is Maya Johnson. I'm the CEO and owner of Skyline Airways. Yesterday, while flying as a regular passenger on one of my own planes, I was harassed and then physically assaulted by a flight attendant. The room was completely silent. Every reporter was taking notes or recording. This happened because the flight attendant didn't believe someone who looks like me belonged in first class, Maya continued. He didn't know I was the CEO. He just saw a black woman and decided I didn't belong. Maya paused to take a sip of water. Her hands were steady now. She had practiced this speech many times last night. I'm not here to talk about just one bad employee, she said. I'm here to talk about a bigger problem. A problem in our society and, I have to admit, a problem in my own company. She looked directly into the cameras. I started Skyline Airways 5 years ago Because I wanted to create an airline where everyone feels welcome, where everyone is treated with respect. Yesterday showed me that I have failed." The reporters looked surprised. CEOs rarely admitted failure so openly. "But failure is not the end of the story," Maya said. "It's a chance to learn and do better." "Today, I'm announcing a complete overhaul of how Skyline Airways trains its employees and serves its passengers." She outlined her plan. New hiring practices, better training, a passenger advocacy office, a diverse advisory board with real power. By the time she finished, the reporters were raising their hands with questions. "Ms. Johnson, what happened to the flight attendant who hit you?" a reporter asked. "He was fired immediately," Maya said, "but he has also agreed to make a public apology and to go through extensive anti-bias training." "Will you press charges against him?" another reporter asked. "No," Maya said. "I believe in second chances and in learning from mistakes. Putting him in jail won't fix the real problem." "What about the videos?" a reporter in the back called out. "They're all over social media. How do you feel about millions of people watching you get slapped?" Maya took a deep breath. This was the hardest question. I won't lie. It's humiliating. No one wants the world to see them being attacked. But if those videos help start an important conversation about how we treat each other, then some good can come from my bad experience. After the press conference, Maya went back to her office. She was tired but felt better than yesterday. Talking openly about the problem was the first step to fixing it. Her assistant knocked on the door. "Ms. Johnson, the management team is ready for you in the conference room." Maya nodded and gathered her notes. It was time to start making real changes. In the conference room, 20 of Skyline's top managers waited. They looked nervous. Maya understood why. Some of them might lose their jobs if they couldn't adapt to the new direction. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," Maya said. "Yesterday, I experienced firsthand what some of our passengers face every day. It opened my eyes. Now I need you to open your eyes too." She passed out folders to everyone. "This is our new plan. It's not a suggestion. It's not optional. This is the new Skyline Airways." Some managers looked worried as they read the papers. Others nodded in agreement. "I know change is hard," Maya said, "but it's necessary. We can be the airline that leads the way on this issue. We can show the world what real inclusion looks like." She looked around the room. "If you're not on board with this plan, there's the door. No hard feelings. But if you stay, I need your full commitment." No one moved toward the door. Maya smiled for the first time in days. "Then let's get to work," she said. 3 months passed. Maya sat in her office looking at the latest company reports. The walls of her office were covered with newspaper articles about Skyline Airways. "Airline sets new standard for diversity training," read one headline. "Skyline leads industry in anti-bias measures," read another. Her phone rang. It was Thomas from PR. "Maya, good news," he said. "Customer satisfaction ratings are up by 20%, and job applications have doubled since we announced the new training program." "That's great," Maya said. "What about the passenger advocacy office? How are those numbers looking?" "Mixed," Thomas said. "Reports of problems are up, but that's actually good news. It means people feel safe telling us when something isn't right." After hanging up, Maya walked to the window. She could see the Skyline planes taking off and landing at the nearby airport. Each one now had a new slogan painted on its side: "Everyone belongs." The past 3 months had been the hardest of Maya's career. Some longtime employees had quit rather than adapt to the new training requirements. A few investors had pulled out, worried about the cost of all the changes. But Maya hadn't backed down. There was a knock at her door. It was Sarah from Human Resources. "The new class of flight attendants is ready for your talk," Sarah said. Every month, Maya now spoke to all new employees. She told them her story and what she expected from them. It was an important part of changing the company culture. Maya followed Sarah to the large training room. 50 new flight attendants sat in rows, all wearing their fresh Skyline uniforms. They looked excited, but also a little nervous. When Maya walked in, they all stood up. "Please, sit down," Maya said with a smile. "We don't stand on ceremony here." For the next hour, Maya talked to the new employees. She told them about what had happened to her on the plane that day. She didn't leave out any details, even the painful ones. Then she told them about the changes the company had made since then. "You're joining Skyline Airways at an important time," Maya said. "We're not perfect. We're still learning and growing. But we're committed to being better every day." A young woman raised her hand. "Miss Johnson, weren't you afraid to fly again after what happened?" Maya nodded. "Yes, I was. The next time I got on a plane, my heart was racing. But I did it anyway. Sometimes you have to face your fears to move forward." After the talk, Maya went back to her office. She had another appointment she wasn't looking forward to. Her assistant showed in a familiar face, Kevin Richards. Kevin looked different now. He was dressed in a simple suit instead of a flight attendant uniform. He seemed older somehow, like he had aged years in just 3 months. "Thank you for seeing me, Ms. Johnson," Kevin said. He sat in the chair across from Maya's desk. "How is the training program going?" Maya asked. "It's eye-opening," Kevin said. "I never thought of myself as prejudiced before. But I'm learning a lot about unconscious bias and how it affects my actions." Maya nodded. "And the community service?" "I'm speaking at high schools about what happened," Kevin said. "Telling my story. Warning other young people not to make the same mistakes." Maya had kept her promise. After Kevin completed his anti-bias training, she had helped him find a job with a community outreach program. It wasn't what he had dreamed of doing, but it was a second chance. "I saw your press conference last week," Kevin said. "The one about the passenger Bill of Rights. It was really good." "Thank you," Maya said. Kevin looked down at his hands. "I want you to know that I'm still sorry. Not just because I got caught, or because I hit someone important, but because what I did was wrong. I see that now." Maya studied his face. She had wondered for months if Kevin could really change, if anyone could really change that deeply. "I believe you," she said finally, and she was surprised to find that she meant it. 1 year after the slap that changed everything, Maya stood on a stage in New York. The room was filled with leaders from the airline industry. She was there to accept an award, Industry Leader in Workplace Culture. As Maya looked out at the crowd, she thought about how much had changed in just 1 year. Skyline Airways was now the fastest-growing airline in the country. People chose to fly with them, not just because of good prices or nice planes, but because of their values. "Thank you for this honor," Maya said into the microphone. "But the real credit goes to the 5,000 employees of Skyline Airways who embraced change and helped build a better company." After the ceremony, Maya met with CEOs from other airlines. They all wanted to know her secret. "It's not really a secret," Maya told them. "Listen to your employees. Listen to your passengers. When they tell you something is wrong, believe them." Back at her hotel, Maya checked her email. There was a message from Lisa, the flight attendant who had been on the plane that day. Lisa was now the head of the new flight attendant training program. "Just wanted to share some good news," Lisa wrote. "Our employee satisfaction scores are the highest they've ever been. People are proud to work here." Maya smiled as she closed her laptop. The bad memory of that day would always be with her. But now there were many good memories to balance it out. The next morning, Maya went to a local high school. This was not part of her official duties as CEO. This was something she did on her own time now. The school auditorium was filled with teenagers. They fell quiet as Maya walked onto the stage. Many of them had seen the viral video of her being slapped. It had been viewed over 50 million times now. "Good morning," Maya said. "My name is Maya Johnson. A year ago, something bad happened to me that many of you probably saw online." She told her story again. But this time, she wasn't alone on stage. Halfway through her talk, Kevin Richards joined her. Together, They talked about that day on the plane, about bias and anger, about mistakes and second chances. The students listened closely. This wasn't just a boring talk about respect. This was real. "I made a terrible mistake," Kevin told the students. "I hurt someone because I judged her by how she looked. I'm still paying for that mistake, but Ms. Johnson gave me a chance to learn and do better." After the school talk, Maya and Kevin walked out together. "That was our 50th school this year," Maya said. "I think we're making a difference." Kevin nodded. "I hope so. The students really listen when we tell our story together." "Speaking of making a difference," Maya said, "I heard your community program is doing well." "It is," Kevin said. "We're expanding to 5 more cities next month." They had reached Maya's car. Her driver opened the door for her. "You know," Maya said before getting in, "there's an opening in our corporate training department. Someone to help develop the new anti-bias program. You might be ready for it." Kevin looked surprised. "You would consider me for a job at Skyline, after everything?" "People can change, Kevin," Maya said. "You've shown that, and we need people who understand both sides of the story." Kevin was quiet for a moment. "I'll think about it," he said finally. "Thank you." As Maya's car drove away, she looked out the window at the city streets. She thought about how one bad moment had led to so much good. The slap had been painful. It had been humiliating. But without it, none of the changes would have happened. 6 months later, Maya was on another Skyline flight. This time, she wasn't traveling incognito. Everyone knew who she was. The flight attendants were professional and warm to every passenger, regardless of how they looked. Maya watched as an elderly black woman was helped to her first-class seat by a young flight attendant. The attendant was patient and kind, making sure the woman was comfortable before moving on. The woman caught Maya looking and smiled. "Things are different now," she said. "I've been flying for 50 years, and things are finally different." Maya smiled back. "Yes, they are," she said, "and they're going to stay that way."